Imagine a time when the whole world spoke one language. No barriers, no misunderstandings, no borders. Humanity was united, unstoppable, ambitious, and hungry for greatness. And out of this unity was born a dream, a tower so high it would touch the heavens. But what happens when human pride challenges God Himself? This is the story of the Tower of Babel, the day humanity's arrogance changed history forever. The story begins not long after the Great Flood. Noah and his sons had survived, and their descendants began to spread across the earth. Generations multiplied, and humanity once again started to grow. But unlike before the flood, this time they all shared one tongue. Every man, woman, and child could speak and understand each other perfectly. No mistranslations, no confusion, just one global language. At first, this was a blessing. Families could trade, work together, and share knowledge without barriers. But unity, while powerful, can become dangerous when it is twisted by pride. As time went on, people began to move eastward. Eventually, they settled in a vast plain called Shinar, a fertile land in Mesopotamia. Here, the soil was rich, perfect for farming, and more importantly, the clay of the land could be used to make bricks. Unlike stone, which was rare, bricks could be molded and fired in kilns. This new discovery unlocked a new kind of construction, and in Shinar, humanity's ambition began to grow. One day, the leaders of the people declared, "Come, let us build ourselves a city, with a tower that reaches to the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, so we will not be scattered over the face of the earth." This was more than just architecture. This was rebellion. Humanity wanted to prove that it didn't need God. A tower that touched the sky wasn't just a building, it was a challenge, a declaration that man could ascend into heaven by his own strength. They believed unity made them unstoppable, but they had forgotten that their strength came not from themselves, but from the Creator. The people worked day and night. Brick upon brick, the tower rose higher. The city buzzed with excitement, ambition, and arrogance. This was not just construction. This was worship of human achievement. The tower's base spread wide like a giant ziggurat. Its steps climbed upward, narrowing as they reached for the clouds. Smoke poured from the kilns, workers shouted commands, and families pointed with awe as the tower scraped the sky. And in their hearts, pride grew. They thought, "Nothing can stop us. We are one people, one language, one force." But while humanity celebrated, heaven watched. The Lord looked down upon the city and the tower. He saw not just their ambition, but their hearts, filled with pride, arrogance, and defiance. God said, "Behold, they are one people, and they all have one language, and this is only the beginning of what they will do. Nothing that they propose will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so that they may not understand one another." It wasn't that God feared humanity would overthrow him. That's impossible. But he knew their pride would lead only to destruction, just as it had in the days of Noah. If left unchecked, their unity and rebellion would lead to even greater evil. And so, in an instant, everything changed. Workers shouted commands, but their friends no longer understood. Bricks were dropped. Instructions turned into gibberish. Arguments broke out. One man called for more mortar, but his neighbor thought he was insulting him. Another asked for wood, but his partner heard only strange noises. Panic erupted. The once perfect unity shattered into chaos. It was the birth of languages. Dozens, then hundreds of different tongues suddenly spilled across the crowd. Families clustered together, each group speaking its own strange new dialect. Communication was broken, and with it, their tower. With language divided, cooperation was impossible. The city fell silent, the tower abandoned. Families left Shinar in frustration, each group migrating to new lands where they could understand one another. Some traveled north, others south. Some followed rivers, others mountains. In time, these groups became nations. Different tongues grew into cultures, traditions, and peoples. The scattering of humanity had begun, and so the mighty Tower of Babel stood unfinished, a monument not to human greatness, but to human pride and failure. It became a symbol, a warning that when mankind exalts itself against God, its plans will always crumble. But it was not only judgment. In scattering the nations, God set the stage for his greater plan. From one nation, Israel, would come redemption, not through human pride, but through divine humility, not by reaching up to heaven, but by heaven coming down to us. The Tower of Babel isn't just an ancient story. It's a mirror. Humanity today is still building towers, not of bricks, but of technology, power, and pride. We unite for progress, but often without God at the center. The lesson is timeless. Human achievement without humility leads to confusion and collapse. True unity, true greatness, comes not from reaching heaven by our own strength, but by walking with the One who created heaven and earth. The Tower of Babel was left unfinished. But the question remains, what towers are we still building today? And will history repeat itself? This is the story of Babel, a story of pride, confusion, and the God who scattered nations.